Welcome, everyone, to tonight's special episode of Dead Talk Live. I'm your host, Viz, from Walking Dead Now. Tonight's episode and every episode is simultaneously streamed to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Tonight, I'm not even going to bother to ask you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel because if tonight's episode doesn't convince you to subscribe, there's not a damn thing left for me to do. So thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. And without further delay, please help me in welcoming our very special guest, Marko Cudlitz from The Walking Dead, to our show. Mike, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Oh, we are all fabulous. We are just so excited to have you on the show with us tonight. On behalf of myself, Marko, and all of our viewers, I just want to say we are eternally grateful that you have agreed to be on our Dead Talk live stream. And we just want to thank you so much for being here with us. I hope that you and the family are all safe and everything is going good on your end.
Yep, so far so good. Got a full house. I have two kids, and they're both home, and they have their partners with them. So it's a house of six.
Wow!
So it's yeah, and everyone's playing nicely, so it's good.
Yeah, I live in a house of five with three teenagers, so yeah, it's pretty chaotic. I've got three teenagers. Talk about crazy. So, Mike, I'm just going to come out guns blazing on my first remark. This actually occurred to me. This occurred to me literally over the last 12 hours when I woke up this morning and I was preparing for this show. So bear with me here for a second. Now, all of us Walking Dead fans have been riding this huge sympathy train for 3 years now since we've lost Abraham and Glenn. Now, Glenn, granted, he was a married man, an expected father, but Abraham, let's re-examine Abraham's situation and throttle back just a little bit. Abraham had been with two incredibly beautiful women who were fighting over him. He had Kristen Serratos, who played Rosita, and Sonequa Martin Green, who played Sasha. So in the end, when Negan, played by J.D. Morgan, picks you to pay the price for what the group did to his savior's outpost, while you're staring down Lucille's bat, you stood upright, pumped your chest out, and we all know that was Abraham's character style and such that we all love. But if you put yourself back into Abraham's shoes that night, do you see Abraham saying to himself, Negan, you dumb son of a bitch, almost all the men here tonight would give their left nut to have these two hotties fighting over me. So go ahead and take your best shot. My life is complete. What do you think about that? That just occurred to me 12 hours ago. I'm like, we've been, grieving over Abraham. He had two amazingly gorgeous women that were fighting for him while he was alive and continued fighting for him after he passed. So what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think Abraham would have done anything different at all. I think by the end of it, he sort of saw a new world order, and he saw a future. So I think he was a very changed person. If you go back to the graphic novels, there's a part where Abraham talks about not being a good father. He talks about himself not being a good father, not being a good husband when he was married. So I feel like he has, sort of seen the possibility of a new future and the possibility to rewrite history. So I don't think he would have changed anything at that point because he did. Again, he saw the future for himself and other people, and he wanted to make sure that everybody else was protected.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I just thought that was, for the last 3 years, everybody's been grieving over Abraham and Glenn. And then this morning, I was like, hold up a second, I mean, this guy, like I said, a lot of people would give their left nuts to have lived the life that he had lived. And I just thought it was hysterical, and I just wanted to bring that up to you. So I just want to get right into our viewers' questions. We've been asking them to email us their questions. We're going to have take some live viewer questions as well. And our first question comes from Little Princess 0525 on Instagram. And Little Princess writes, as a fan of The Walking Dead, what was your favorite episode from the entire 10-season franchise? So that basically includes episodes that you did act in and episodes you didn't act in. And she also has a second part to that question. Which was the hardest episode for you to film as an actor?
My favorite episode, I think, is still the pilot, the first episode.
Yeah.
I just, because I remember reading it, and when I read it, it was, a phenomenal episode. I think there's a section in the pilot episode where there's like, it's 20-something pages that have zero dialogue. It's all Andy Lincoln just walking around. You see the world as it is through his eyes, as he's trying to figure out what is happening. And I just think it's as a script, it was completely riveting. And to watch the pilot, it was completely riveting. I think Darabont did an amazing job, and Andy did an amazing job. It was absolutely my favorite episode.
It was
my hardest episode, the episode that was the hardest to shoot. I don't know what that would be.
I'm sure you guys just have a blast every day shooting that show.
It is. I mean, it is a lot of fun. So it's like, the hard, what some people think are the hard episodes for us, the emotional stuff, that's actually, honestly, a lot of fun for us. So the hard becomes other things, like the heat. There's a certain section, of the show, time of year when we're in there, like July, August, when it is so hot in Georgia, that every single episode becomes just grueling, if you're part of it. Yeah. And again, it has more to do with the temperature than it does, the episodes themselves.
Absolutely. Now, I read the article and I saw the interview where you were on with J.D. Morgan, and you guys explained that whole scene in the season premiere of season 7, where we lost you and we lost Stephen Yen to play Glenn. And everyone thought, that must have been like the hardest episode that you guys probably had to film. And you guys just let loose on how it was just ridiculously fun to shoot that season premiere.
It is. I mean, those are those days that are, have high emotional stakes and, really fun stuff to play as an actor. That stuff is not the hard stuff. That stuff is the fun stuff. Uh-huh. So sort of a hard day at work translates to the most, exhilarating day at work. Actual hard days are days where you're not necessarily having any kind of, conflict with anyone, and you're just filming us walking down the road, and, we're doing long shots and a lot of coverage of everybody walking down very hot, dusty Georgia roads. Mm-hmm. That stuff can be hard because it becomes tedious after a while, especially when you're moving as a group. And when you move as a group, you have a lot of people that everybody cares what they're thinking. So every one of those characters has to be shot in what they call a single, where they catch just your reaction to what's going on. So when there's more series regulars and more people that everybody cares about and wants to know what they think, the scenes take much longer because there's much more coverage to do in the scenes. So again, those would be the harder scenes.
I mean, I live in the Mid-Atlantic. I live in the suburbs of D.C., and I grew up in New York City. At least in New York City, we're by the water. But just being more inland here, it doesn't matter that we're near the Potomac. The summers are just absolutely horrendous. And I can imagine you guys out there in the sun all day long, and from dawn till night, and then into the night a lot of the time. I just imagine doing that for months on end. It's just absolutely exhausting. So I can totally see that. And, going back to that interview with J.D. Morgan, you guys revealed that you came up with the suck my nuts line right there on the spot. And my question in regards to that is, did Jeffrey Dean Morgan stick to the script after that, or did he ad-lib it as well?
Oh no, Jeffrey stuck to the script.
He did.
He threw in a couple things here and there, but for the most part, he really, he stuck to the script.
And he kept a straight face.
Yeah, well, most of it.
Most.
And that was, I'm actually, to me, what I remember most about that night that we did that was that was the first day that Jeffrey was on camera. So yeah. Jeffrey, didn't know any of us. And, here's somebody coming in, and I can only imagine, he's a pretty confident guy, but I can only imagine how nerve-wracking it must have been having come in and done stuff like this before as a guest artist on shows, where you come in and you have a lot of weight, to the storyline you're doing, and you're coming into someone else's world to play, as a guest star. Well, for him, he was coming into a show that had been on air for 6 years and was arguably one of the biggest shows on television in the world. Mm-hmm. And he's going to come in and he's killing some main characters.
Oh yeah.
And he had not really even met any of us. So it's got to be, from his standpoint, I imagine it was quite daunting to come in and have to have that responsibility.
Was it? I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I'm done.
I was going to say, was it like sort of an icebreaker, though? The fact that he did have to come in and kill you and kill Glenn, and did that help lighten the mood a little bit, even though it was such a dark episode for us fans to watch?
Well, when he first came in, he didn't know who he was going to be killing. Because I had pulled him aside, and at one point I saw him, we were both grabbing coffee, and I was like, hey, have they told you who it's going to be? And he's like, no. I go, oh, that must be fucked up. And he's like, yeah, I had no idea. And he talked about it afterwards, like, you motherfucker, you knew. I go, yeah, I knew, but you didn't need to know. I think he was, as I was, the only thing that I was bummed out about. There were a couple things that I was sort of sad about, and it had nothing to do with the way we told the story, but it had to do with the fact that, like, when Chad got killed, who played Chad Coleman, who plays Tyrese, my biggest regret about that is that he and I never got a chance to really work together. Same thing with Jeffrey. I would have loved to have worked with him, done some scene work and had some, great conflict with him before I got killed. So that really wasn't to play.
How was it like directing him, though?
Oh, it's great. It's great. I mean, I think he's a terrific actor. It's like I've always been a fan. I've been a fan since Grey's Anatomy. Mm-hmm. And coming back again, there's no people are, it's funny on social media, like, oh man, I bet you hate him. I'm like, why would I hate him? He's another actor. He didn't, I knew I was going to die well before he knew he was going to be cast. I found out the August before, a year before you guys saw it. So it was a year and 4 months before it happened. We had shot it.
Were you shocked to find out that Abraham was being written off the show?
No, because when I was brought on, I kind of knew we were going to be following roughly the trajectory of the graphic novel. And right around when Denise took the arrow to the eye, I was sort of like, all right, I'm on borrowed time. We're about at that point. We're at that point in the story where we're starting to see Dwight, and we're starting to see, we're going out looking for ammunition, and it's like that's around the time in the graphic novel where they take Abraham out.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah. And, and for me personally, I've said this to my followers, and a lot of people feel the same way. People have asked me, like, on The Walking Dead, which do you feel is like the most senseless death on the show? And I would say Abraham's is at least one of my top three. In the comic books, as you know, it was just Glenn that was taken out by Negan that night. And when he took you out first, we were like, okay, they're changing it around. And then he took both of you out. We're like, holy cow. I was watching that episode with my 15-year-old son, My son started binge watching the show just within the last year or so. And I told him, I'm like, listen, when you get to the season premiere of season 7, I want to watch that with you. Not because, I want to relive the episode, but as a father, having a 15-year-old watch that, I just wanted to be there for him as a dad, just to kind of talk him through it and make sure, he was okay. And I just remember he just buried his face in his hand, and when Glenn was taken out, and he could not stop saying no, 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 no. That's how shocking it was for him. I mean, that was just such a phenomenal episode, and I think this is a great time, guys. We have our producer Marko on the line with us. So, Marko, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good.
Hi, everybody.
I thought this was a great time to bring you into the conversation. We're taking, just so you know, Mike, we've asked people to email us their questions. We have people that are screening our live questions as well. Now, here's one of the live viewer questions that comes in from official Joseph Wang 57 on Instagram. His question is, do you think Abraham would kill Negan if he was still alive?
Weird things where they, everyone always asks you the what if. And, it's difficult to do the what if because, it's sort of like, well, would Daryl kill Negan? I mean,
yeah,
but now look what's happened. It's like everything twists and shifts. I don't know. I think if it was one-on-one, he would take him out if all things being equal and all things would be fair. But it's like you look at the Beta fight with Daryl.
Exactly.
You don't know how that's going to wind up, and it's like he gets the upper hand on him. But all things being as they are, Beta's huge, so it's not even a slam or talking shit about Norman to say Beta would probably win.
Exactly.
But it's like,
yeah. I mean,
but
Norman pushed him down an elevator shaft, and the dude survived.
yeah. And Daryl's just a badass who's completely unpredictable. So, you never know. It's like I don't like to play the what if game because then, you always go, well, yeah, I'd have kicked his ass and I'd have changed the whole thing. It's like, well, no, I didn't. I chose to give myself for the group and hopefully save some lives. Abraham was able to do one last selfless thing to hopefully secure the safety of the people that he loved and his family.
And going back to Joseph's question on Instagram, the way I see it is, if Daryl could spare Negan, there is no doubt in my mind that I could see Abraham's character sparing Negan as well. No doubt in my mind. If Daryl can not forgive, I don't think he's forgiven him, but if he can spare his life after he saw Negan kill Abraham and Glenn right in front of his face, and especially Daryl, who probably feels somewhat responsible because he's the one that took the swing at Negan, which led to Negan taking out Glenn. So if Daryl can let him live, I have no doubts in my mind that Abraham would let him live as well. So I understand about the whole what ifs.
Time and circumstance are, a funny thing, and they change everything. Time changes everything,
and they tend to heal a lot of old wounds. So I definitely
or change the circumstances of them.
Exactly. And as we know in the zombie apocalypse, nothing ever stays the same. Nothing ever stays the same. Now, Marko, I know you had a question from Mike about how he got the role. Do you want to ask him yourself?
Yeah. So, Mike, when I saw you and met you a while ago, I don't really remember. Did you audition for that role, or did AMC reach out to you and say, "Listen, we're casting the role of Abraham. We think you'd be great," and come in for a screen test, or did you come in and grow the mustache and put the lick my left nut kind of word in there and kind of, going guns blazing?
No, that was, I was brought in to audition, but it was an interesting situation. I found out later that Scott really wanted me for the role.
Good.
But they still had to kind of go through the motions of it all, which I didn't really know at the time. And the way that the show works, and it still does the same thing now. They write new scenes for the auditions that are very similar to the characters, but not the exact scenes that you're going to play. So I had a very similar sort of mission-oriented scene where I had to convince a group of people that I didn't know to do something that I wanted them to do, which was basically Abraham and the mission and the scene in the church with me and Rick, where I was telling everybody we got to go, we got to take the bus, and we got to go.
That was
cool. And and everybody's like, well, what are we rushing off for? So I had to sort of make my case. And I remember going in, and it was interesting because I had jury duty that week. I live in Los Angeles. The way we have jury duty in Los Angeles is it's called 1 week, 1 day. So for 1 week, if you get called for jury duty, you have to be available for a full week, and any of those 1 days of the week, they can call you in, and if they don't call you, then your service is over.
Right.
And then depending on how long the trial is and how your work goes, if you're able to do it, that's all figured out later. But basically, it's a one week, 1 day, and so it was Monday, and I got the audition, and they wanted me to come in on a Friday. And I had got to the end of the day, and I read the material, and I was sitting at home, and I'd called back in for my jury duty. I didn't have to go on Monday, and I called back in Monday night. I did not have to go back on Tuesday, but then I realized I might actually get called by the end of the week, so I might not be able to make this audition. So I called my agent and I said, look, can we just reschedule this for tomorrow? Can I just squeeze in and just let them know I have jury duty and that, I'll come back at the end of the week more prepared, but I'll just do the best I can tomorrow with this. And, and if I'm still available at the end of the week, I'll come back in, but there's a chance I might not be available. So could you ask them? And they called over Sharon Bialy, who I've known for years, who cast the show. She said, absolutely, come on in, we'll figure it out. So I came in and actually had a really great audition, even not being pretty prepared. But it was a tricky audition because it was like 3-page monologue. And they're putting you on tape, so you want to be as memorized as possible. But
and sometimes those are the best auditions. You just kind of wing it. You just go in there and read for the character, and you're like, hey, one time if you're prepared for it, sometimes you get all nervous. It's like a job interview. It's the same thing. We've all been on job interviews where you walk in and you're like, well, but if it's just kind of talking to somebody over a beer, your conversation is a lot loose. You actually see who you really are. So that actually made, it made better sense to come in early.
And I improvised quite a bit in the audition. Yeah. Just stuck mostly to the story, and I just had fun with it, and they loved it. So the sort of the rest.
Yeah, because now you can't get away with jury duty anymore. It's not like the old days where, I'm sorry, I have an audition. Like, nope, sorry. Jury duty's tough now. Everybody has to serve. But I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah.
And that brings me to a question about the very famous Abrahamisms that we have heard throughout the years.
Yeah, we call it that. We created that phrase. John actually has a whole bunch of quotes that he plays of all the famous quotes that you've done throughout the show, and it's genius.
I love it.
It's great.
So my question, as far as your famous quotes on the show, and then someone has a question about it as well. Did you have any kind of hand in writing those at all?
No. Actually, no, because I love our writers. I would read something and I would give suggestions if I thought we could clean something up or make it more. Uh-huh. And I would always write. I'd read everything beforehand. And write to the writers and say, I love this, or hey, this is really cool, but I think we could add a little more here. And then sometimes Scott would say, we can. And we started, we have a term for it that we, that's between he and I. that became our catchphrase for it. And then I would just write him and go, hey, and he'd go, yeah, I know. Or he'd say, no, we won't want to do that there because this, this, and this. And he'd have a reason why, and it would make sense, and it would be, it'd be great. So I'd be like, okay, cool. But if I ever had a question about something, the writers are always open to discuss things. But generally speaking, I like the writers to be the writers and the actors to be the actors. And when you look at something, if you see that there's a problem with something or if something's not working, you go to the writer and you find out why, because maybe I'm misunderstanding or, I don't know what they're trying to get at. So that's why I don't understand it. I always assume it's my fault first. And then sometimes you ask the question and they explain it very clearly and easily. And you're like, oh, shoot, oh, yeah, of course. Or sometimes they go, oh, shit, this is left over from a rewrite. We got to fix that.
Well,
so it's a, definitely, it definitely takes a village in television. The pace is so quick that, if everybody's working together and on top of things work very, very smoothly and change happens very, very quickly. It's when things are neglected and, actors and directors and everybody waits until we're on set and then they're like, oh, there's a problem. Then it becomes difficult and time consuming to fix. So you want to fix as many problems as you can before you get into production.
Exactly. Cool. And I just want to say that those phrases that came out of your mouth, they just flowed so naturally that we didn't know if that was just coming straight from you, because you played the part just so perfectly. And
that's all Scott.
Amazing.
Scott Gimple. Most of my lines were written by Scott Gimple. Some of the other writers wrote some of them, but most of he would go in and I think they would go in as a group also and tweak, Abraham's sort of phrases.
Okay.
It was fun.
All right. Hard Productions on YouTube, just staying on this quote, your quotes of yours just for a little bit. He wants to know, which one was your favorite quote?
I don't give a monkey's left nut. That's got to be the best one, Mike. That's got to be the best one.
I love that one.
I don't know if I have a favorite. It's funny. People bring up lines that I totally forgotten about because it didn't really become. Everybody didn't really realize that or I didn't say realize. I should say Abraham became quotable after Who's Deanna.
Yeah.
But if you go back beforehand, there's some really great one-liners that that happened before everybody realized they were one-liners.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, that was great.
One of my favorite scenes is when you turn to Maggie and Glenn, Lauren Cohen, Stephen Yen, and that whole Bisquick. When you were like trying to get why, it's like a little kid asking their parents about the birds and the bees. And you're just like,
exactly.
Abraham was just curious as to why in the hell do you guys want to bring a baby in this world? And it just got you thinking like, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right.
Yeah, that is. And that's a huge turning point for Abraham because he was starting to figure out, like, maybe I want to do this with Sasha. Maybe there is.
Poor Abraham.
Maybe
Christian
there is a future. Yeah.
Yeah, poor Abraham. Christian Serratos against with Sasha.
Sadiqa,
Yeah, my heart breaks.
John, tell Mike about the action figures because I think he had a kick out of that.
That's right. So we've been running this special online trivia contest now for the last 3 weeks, and of all the cast characters, and you were like one of the initial pool that I initially set out, and I just wanted to let you know that Abraham was, because then whoever wins the trivia gets to pick their action figure, and you were the first one picked. Your action figure of Abraham was the first one picked, and it was picked by.
And there were also, and there were also very hard questions. I went back and actually, watched the shows in detail because I didn't want to make it easy for anybody. So the questions that I asked were actually really, really tough, and these fans out there really are on the ball. They were called within a matter of minutes, and they would get them right. And I was like, damn, I mean, I thought I was stopping them, but I guess not. But yeah, you were you were the first to go, and we're very happy about that. So you set a trend for us. So I appreciate that very much.
So continuing on with our viewer questions, Zambika37 on Instagram wants to know: did you ever think Abraham's character would be friends with Eugene's character after Abraham found out the truth about Eugene's lie?
I think so, because the reason he beat the crap out of him was because he had his full trust, and it's like we talked about this, Josh and I talked about it, it's like Abraham is like, not only like did we kill people on this mission because they were getting in our way just of the mission, but we lost people in our group because of the mission. So we like lost there was a lot of loss that was connected to the mission that didn't necessarily have to happen. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really like Abraham's just like, you motherfucker. Mm-hmm. Like what? Like you fucking killed people. Like you and then it's just, he just can't really put it together. But what he doesn't realize is till afterwards is that Abraham was hurt that he was lied to by somebody who he cared so much about, and he doesn't really realize that till much later.
And it was such a complex way, the way you two were brought together. Abraham had just lost his family, and you were literally seconds away from killing yourself, and you saw Eugene, Josh McDermott, Eugene's character, running across the street, help, help, help. And what I think why Abraham really bought Eugene's lie as much as he did is because it gave him a purpose again back in life.
Yeah, he needed hope.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
that's the other side of it is that once Abraham had some distance from it, if you really look at it analytically, he saved his life.
Yeah. Abraham was about to kill himself, and if Eugene had not showed up, we saw that flashback where you were like, you had the gun in, Abraham had the gun in his mouth and he was ready to end it all. And Eugene did save his life, and he lied, but it gave the character of Abraham some purpose again, and that was to get Eugene back up to Washington D.C. so Eugene can somehow miraculously save the world. So the chemistry between you and Josh McDermott has been amazing, and I just love watching the commercials between you two. I think they're hysterical. The commercials that you and Josh McDermott do together, I think they're absolutely hysterical, and they're much fun to watch. And it shows that even when your character dies on The Walking Dead, you will always be a part of the Walking Dead family. Like with you, you've directed like 3 episodes, I believe. And three of the original and 2 of the new spinoff, which hasn't aired yet. So you got 5
Yeah.
Wow. So you directed 2 of the New World Beyond.
Correct.
Oh, we were so looking forward to that. We're definitely looking forward to that. All right, moving on.
Fun show.
Oh yeah. This question comes in from Yumiko's Magna on Instagram. Now, what Yumiko wants to know is, while you were directing episode 4 on season 10 called Silence the Whisperers, what was it like directing the scenes between Yumiko and Magna? As director, how did you create the rising tensions between the 2 characters throughout the episode, from their love scene to the reveal that Yumiko was Magna's lawyer?
That's just, I throw that back on the other actors. Everyone on the show is
You still with us?
Hello?
Yep. We got you back.
Okay, great. Great. Yeah, I mean, it's the that's the actors, and that's the writing. That's the the way that everything is set up. It's honestly, it's easy when you have the right people in place.
That's true. That is true. I personally love that episode and the reveal that we found out. I think Magna is such an interesting character, as is Yumiko, and just the revelations in that episode that we got to get a little bit of their backstory was just absolutely phenomenal. It was great. It was really good. Now I had a. Actually, let's go to Marco's question. Marco did have another question. So Marco wants to know, playing Abraham and killing the walkers, or directing your fellow castmates and having them call you boss, which is your favorite? Like acting with them or being behind the camera and directing them? Which did you enjoy, or were they both equally as fun?
Oh, they were both equally fulfilling, but I will say that when you're directing, it's more satisfying because there's more moments of satisfaction. It's not just your scene; it's everybody's scene. So as an actor, I enjoyed working with those other actors, but as a director, I get to work with all of them. So that is incredibly satisfying. Really, really talented group.
Oh yeah. And I want to touch upon your very long resume. And I remember growing up, and I was reviewing. I mean, I knew this, but I was reviewing, some of your earlier stuff. I don't know if you're going to want me mentioning this. Like, you were on Beverly Hills 90210.
Sure. It's one of the first things I ever did. You mentioned. Hey, everything on my resume was what got me to where I'm at.
Exactly.
I love everything on that thing.
Yeah, I grew up. I mean, I was a teenager. I was in high school while 90210 was airing live, and I loved that show. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I love 90210. You know what I mean? And if I remember correctly, back then, didn't you take Shannon Doherty to the prom?
I did.
Yes. Okay.
I did.
Yeah, you took Shannon Doherty to the prom. You took over Luke Perry's role.
Not
Luke Perry to the
at
side.
all. That's funny.
Man. And just looking at just the stuff that you've done, I've seen all this stuff growing up. 21 Jump Street. I loved you on Criminal Minds, even though you just had that short bit in the beginning of that one episode where you played that psychopath.
Yeah.
It was just amazing.
Well, it wasn't just that. I did that, and then I blew myself up. But then you saw all the tapes and everything that I made later.
Yeah, exactly. You saw all the tapes,
all that creepy stuff.
Exactly, and you had that partner, and they were searching out for the partner. Amazing episodes. 21 Jump Street, 90210, and I'm actually looking at the list right now, and it goes on and on. Another one of my favorite shows, NYPD Blue. You were on an episode of NYPD Blue. That's another show that I watched growing up in the 90s and stuff. So, I mean, your IMDb resume is pages and pages long. You've had such a great career and have done such amazing things. And it's fascinating to look at all this past stuff. And I just remember you going, like I said, I remember you as Shannon Doherty's date. Your date to the prom. So I just think that's
I've been very, very, very fortunate.
Yeah, that is so cool. So let's get another question in here. Are you still with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, we got you back. Okay, yeah. So this question comes from Summer from Twitter. Summer writes, would you have liked to see more out of Abraham and Sasha's relationship?
Yes. I wish they would have. That's the only regret I have, is that we didn't get to see them sort of be soldiers together. Actual soldiers. Mm-hmm. That would have been fun to go, kind of like to spend a little bit of time with them going on missions during all-out war.
Exactly. So. Like Sasha was an amazing warrior. You were an amazing warrior. I mean, did they ever explain to you, the writers did they ever explain to you why they were going to make that move and they were going to have you like leave Rosita and go over to Sasha? I mean, did they ever explain why they did that?
No.
So, I mean, because it seemed to me that switch occurred in the Abraham character with that whole conversation you had with Glenn and Maggie in the RV while you guys were going up there. And it's like something flipped in Abraham's head at that point. And he's like, you know what? You can have kids. Even though the world has ended, you can still have kids. The world can be rebuilt. And, you know, like you said earlier on in this interview, Abraham, you know, wanted to be with Sasha. So, you know.
Yeah. And I think he was also done, you know, I mean, I know why the character did. There was never a discussion saying this is why. But for me, I knew why. It was just the character growth. You know, he basically, he loved Rosita, but he was not in love with her. You know, early on, I think for both of them, it was a relationship of convenience. Mm-hmm. You know, they that's all they had. You know, and if you look at the graphic novels, the way they got together was that Abraham was actually the only man who did not want anything from Rosita, and that's why she was attracted to him. You know, and he saw her for her capabilities. He saw her as a weapon, as a fighter, as a soldier, and you know, and then he just sort of fell into that because it's the apocalypse and people have needs.
Exactly.
But there was no sort of long-term plan. And then I think that when he realized that there could be a long-term plan, she wasn't necessarily part of it because he had other interests and other things going on. You know, and I think that he did what he did the way he did it so brutally because it's kind of I call it the Black Beauty moment. It's like in Black Beauty where the kid's throwing rocks at the horse and he's like, "Get out of here, I hate you." And it's just to save the horse, you know, because the horse isn't leaving. And if it runs away, it'll be safe. But if it stays, it won't be.
Exactly.
So he has to make sure that he ends this, you know, fully and finally.
Yeah. Totally makes sense. Now, I know you have to go, but I want you to hear Marko's, today is the last day of our trivia. And my brother Marko, who's also our producer, he's been coming up with these ridiculously hard questions, okay? And I just want you to hear tonight's question. Now, guys, our
John,
viewers...
you gotta say, I don't remember off the top of my head, John. Can you just read it? It's not in front of me. Sorry.
No, I got the question right here. I just wanted Mike to hear just the level of questions that you've been coming up with. And like I said, Mike, you were the first action figure to get picked, and we're down to basically Rick Grimes. And the one action figure that we cannot get rid of, Mike, is Gareth from Terminus. Nobody wants him.
Andrew West, he was so terrific. He was so good.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah,
he was so good. He was really good. They should have kept him on a little longer.
Yeah, but nobody wants him. So what me and Marko decided to do tonight is whoever wins the next trivia contest, whether it's tonight or tomorrow, they're getting him along with Rick.
Yeah.
Because I feel if I keep him in my house, that's just going to be some bad mojo, you know? So I want to get him out of my house. So whoever wins the next contest, gets the next trivia answer correctly, gets Gareth as well as Rick Grimes. But let me just read you the question. I know you got to go, but this is the kind of questions that Marko's been coming up with. So here's
and if you know it, Mike, don't answer it.
So I don't think even Mike knows the answer to this. But here's the question: in the earlier seasons, Rick steps out Rick steps out to check on some snares. He stumbles upon an Irish woman who was living out on her own with her husband. She states that she and her husband were at the airport on their way to their honeymoon when all hell broke loose. She also states that she and her husband stood next to some statues. So Marko's question is, where were those statues from? Can you believe that? Yeah, I'm not even gonna. I don't even think you know, Mike.
I think I do, but I'm not going to say.
Okay. Oh,
okay. Good.
Don't spoil it. Okay. Yeah, but these are the types of questions that Marko's been coming up every day for the last 3 weeks, and I know you got to go.
That's great.
I just wanted you to hear that, and Mike, I just want to thank you so much for being a part of our show. You have been absolutely amazing, just like my brother described you. You're a fantastic human being for agreeing to come on our show. You didn't have to. We appreciate it so much. We do hope that sometime in the future you can join us again. We want you and your family to be safe through all the turmoil that's going on in the world right now. And, as a little hint, if you happen to talk to any, one of your Walking Dead colleagues, let them know on how great this show is. And they are more than welcome at any time to join us on this show. So I just want to say thank you so much, and you've been absolutely amazing.
Mike, thank you. If you come to New York, look me up. We'll go out for a beer.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it once everything settles down.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care, man. Have a good one. Thank you again. Enjoy Nashville, and please be safe. Okay. Thanks, sir. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. All right, guys. There you have it. Michael Cudlitz from The Walking Dead. That was phenomenal. That was phenomenal. That was an experience. That was my first time, interviewing an A-list celebrity like Michael Cudlitz. If you guys, like I said, go on his IMDb page and just check out his resume, you're going to be scrolling for a couple of minutes. He has been an actor, and he's been doing this since he was a very young man. And as you heard him tonight, he was absolutely amazing. Summer is calling us. Hey, Summer, how you doing? Summer, are you there? Oh, Summer was trying to call us. Maybe she'll call back. But yeah, that was fantastic. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. It was very entertaining. We all learned a lot of good stuff. We learned that he has directed 2 episodes in the new Walking Dead spinoff that's coming out, World Beyond. So we're even more excited to see those now more than ever. Marko, what did you think of it? Oh, I lost Marko too. When I hung up on Mike, I hung up on Marko. But, it was absolutely fabulous. Fabulous. What an amazing experience that was. And we are all very thankful that he agreed to be on our show. He didn't have to do it, but he did do it, and that was just absolutely amazing. And I want to thank all you guys for joining us tonight in that experience. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves as well. Zambika37 writes, that was great. Lib Princess 0525 writes, amazing. Let me look at your guys, now that I have a chance to look at your guys' chats. It's William, YouTube is with us. Firefox4486 on YouTube, hello. Sevens Gaming, Abraham was a great character that grew on me. Hard Productions, we asked your favorite quote. Oh, Summer is calling back. Hey, Summer, are you there?
Hello?
Yes, hello?
Oh, is this, Biz?
Who?
Biz?
I think you got a wrong number.
I got the wrong, alright, never mind.
Who are you trying to call?
Some dude named Biz.
No, yeah, you got the wrong number. I'm sorry.
Well, have a good one, man.
All right, thanks. All right, sorry about that, guys. That That was a wrong number, and I don't think he's even realized that he just got heard by thousands of people. So, anyway, well, it looks like... Yes, hello, you're on Dead Talk Live with Viz.
Hello?
Hey, Summer.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good.
So what did
I just want to let you know that was an awesome episode.
Did you like the interview?
I did.
Isn't he a great guy?
He is.
You know, he's truly...
He really is.
He really is an amazing guy. And like I said, he didn't have to do it, but he did. Did you hear me ask him your question?
I did. I was so excited.
Yeah. You
and I liked his answer, too.
Yeah. We see a lot of people calling, guys. We're literally down to just a few minutes. So I'm not going to be able to get to everyone. Let me just answer this next one. So stay on the line with me, Summer.
Okay.
Hello, you're on Dead Talk Live. How are you doing?
Hi, Viz. How are you?
Hey, Ismail. So what did you think about the interview?
Hi.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Viz.
So what did you hear? What did you think about the interview with Michael Cudlitz?
It was great. He was really nice.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, my Marko met him, and he told me he's an amazing individual, and he's an amazing person.
And he responded to everyone's question, and it was great. It was great an interview.
And I didn't get a chance to mention, but I do want you guys to know that he is currently working on a project. Let me bring it up here. Hold on a second. I have like a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't get a chance to ask him this, but he is currently working on a TV show that's called Clarice. It's scheduled to come out sometime this year. I don't know if it's still going to or not because of what's going on with the coronavirus. But this TV show called Clarice takes place... It's about the character from Silence of the Lambs, Clarice Starling, which was played by Jodie Foster back in the 90s. And this TV show that is currently in pre-production and he's starring in as well is going to take place a year after the whole Hannibal Lecter thing happened with Clarice, and she goes back to the field. So yeah.
Did you know that he acted on Prison Break?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I couldn't go through his entire list, but like
it was him and Sarah. Yeah, him and Sarah.
Yeah.
Lori.
Yeah, I mean, I go back. I mentioned one of the first things he did, like on 90210, which I know Ismail is way before your time, and I was in high school, and I remember seeing him. I mean, so Summer, where did you first see Michael Cudlitz? Do you remember? Was it on
the first time? It was on The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
It was on The Walking Dead, but I think I am going to go back to 90210 because I love that show as well to see if I can find him.
Yeah, I mean his IMDb page is pretty long. He's been doing this a while, so.
So I have a question, Biz. Were you nervous at all?
You know what? I did not sleep last night. I was just so excited.
You was.
I was very excited. I didn't get much sleep, and I've been prepping all day today. Was I nervous? No.
Yeah, you seemed nervous.
I maybe a little bit nervous. I was more excited than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was some nerves there. I mean, this is the first time I'm ever interviewing a celebrity, and I'm doing it with a lot of people watching. So I was a little bit nervous. How do you think I did?
I think you did a really good job. Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, it was my first time doing it, so yeah, I was a little bit nervous, but more than anything else, I was just very excited. I was very excited to be talking to him. It was just an exciting moment that I know I'm never going to forget, for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I want to thank both of you guys for calling in, and we'll be chatting again soon. Okay?
Hey, are you going to do the trivia today?
Well, I did it. Unless you guys have an answer for
Can
me.
we answer?
I do.
Well,
We both
Summer
have
called.
answers.
Summer called first.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Summer called first. So
Yeah.
this is your chance to win Rick Grimes and Gareth, Summer. So do you have an answer?
The statue from Zimbabwe.
Yes. Congratulations, Summer. Let me bring up the picture. You get to win. You have won Rick Grimes, and I'm giving you Gareth as well.
Oh, well, thank you.
Congratulations, Summer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You have won the man himself, Rick Grimes, with the machete, the gun with the silencer, and these chains, which for some, I've been looking at this action figure for the last day. I can't remember where these chains are from.
On the prison, for the prison when they were like chaining the doors.
Is that where they're from? They were used to what? Keep out.
No, remember how they locked the doors? And the doors were like were like old and stuff that didn't lock. So they used those for the walkers to not come at them.
Okay.
When they were going for the prison.
Okay, well that makes sense. Summer, you're getting a lot of congratulations. Bika37 is congratulating you on Instagram.
Oh, thank you guys.
Sass Chick is congratulating you. Thank you guys both for calling, and we'll be talking again real soon.
All right.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk.
Have a great night.
Soon. You too, guys. You too.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. So we're pretty much out of time. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the interview. I know I did. Thank you for showing your support for us. It's been an amazing night. Words can't explain it. You've all been fabulous. And until tomorrow night, guys, the show does still go on tomorrow.